Today I will be talking about stopping teen violence and ways to educate, prevent, and influence. I am your presenter, Jonathan Williams, from the Center for Youth Development. I am the coordinator for youth activities. What you need to know from this proposal is that preventing teen violence is the only way to ensure the future of our children. I want to speak firstly to the grantors who seek a worthy cause to invest in. I also plan to speak to the mentors, as I am, who believe in this cause as I do. Lastly, I want to speak to the parents that have lost a kid to an act of violence. What I hope you'll get from this webinar, I hope you'll get an understanding of the problem. I want you to realize that there is someone who cares about the safety of children and that we as a collective can be the solution to end teen violence. At this point in time, you might be thinking that the length of time to get this message out will be a lot longer than a few days, a few weeks, a few months. And it's also going to be harder for those that this is pertaining to listen and understand that the problem is a very big deal. I want you to know that we are currently building on this to become a very important part of teen education, something that teens can understand and listen to and take a message from that will help them to understand that this is a very, very big problem. Today I will be talking about the problem of teen violence, what the real cost is of teen violence, and how we as a collective can go about solving it. First, we start with the problem of teen violence. The CDC says in 2012, 4,784 people aged 10 to 24 were victims of homicide. Is an average of 13 people per day. Just so you know, I was able to receive this graph from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention about the percentage of high school students threatened or injured with a weapon on school property in 2013. We have the value of the total amount as well as the value for females and males. These values are out of 10, every 6.1 for female and every 7.7 per male had, for example, a gun, a knife, any type of weapon that was pulled on them at least once, but possibly more times during this 12-month survey, the 12 months before this survey. Also, I found the rate per 100,000 for homicide, suicide, and firearm-related deaths of youth ages 15 to 19 from 1970 all the way to 2014. Now, I'd like to note that the rates have significantly decreased from the mid-90s all the way to the 2014 range. However, the range for firearm-related death is still 9.9, homicide is 6.6, and the suicide is 8.7 per 100,000 students. Next, I will talk about what is the real cost of teen violence. On a personal level, the loss of a child is the utmost significant reason why teen violence needs to be looked at and prevented. It also can cause family turmoil. A lot of these kids don't have a positive family member that they can turn to talk to educate them and keep them away from committing these acts. On a physical level, there are medical expenses based off of the injuries and deaths that occur from teen violence. And to go even further on that, the funeral costs for deaths of teens based off of the homicide rates. On a societal level, the high amount of teen violence in neighborhoods will decrease the residential property value. Now, this has a long-term effect on new residents and long-term residents. Lastly, I want to talk to you about how I want to solve this problem. My solution, a teen violence educational workshop. The goals of this educational workshop is to educate, prevent, and influence. When I say educate, we want to talk to the teens that are at risk. Some of the things we want to tell them are some statistics that go along with the teen violence rates and just a general overview, talking about who is involved and certain situations of teen violence and what is considered an act of teen violence. How do we prevent? We want to talk to the teens about how to counteract these situations. So we're going to put these teens in some scenarios and some role plays that way they can get an understanding if they aren't a part of, but they also will understand exactly what is occurring and what is happening in these situations. Lastly, we want them to influence. So pretty much we won't know exactly how they're going to spread the message. So we want to tell them what they should say and who they should tell. Now, who they should tell can include their peers, can include siblings, people their age, but it also can include adults, people that are mentors, people that may not necessarily know what teen violence specifically entails. We want them to express this message to them so that way it can spread to greater communities and involve a lot more people. In summary, I talked about the problem of teen violence, talked about the real cost of it, and how I plan to solve this. Like I said earlier, the biggest thing I want you to take away from this presentation is that preventing teen violence is the only way to ensure the future of our children. So I listed out a budget that will go for this teen violence educational workshop. The publicity of it is including the flyers, putting out newspaper ads, and sending out mailings. The cost of that will run about $200. For workshop materials, I figure 50 handouts and the same amount of certificates for completion will run to about $150. Lastly, we need employees. So 10 employees, around 15 hours per employee at $8 per hour, runs about $1,200, making a grand total budget of $1,550. I want to thank you guys for listening to my presentation. I hope that we can come to terms on a deal that will hopefully help and improve the teen violence and eliminate the teen violence that is in this area. If you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions, feel free to contact me. There's my information right there. Thank you. Have a great day.